This should be basic journalistic practice. In fact, it's utter malpractice on the part of all of these news organizations that have not regularly been interviewing the leaders, the negotiators of Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad. This is by default allowing the dehumanization narrative of Palestinians to just take hold. When the United States and Israel make allegations against Hamas, against Islamic Jihad, against the Palestinian armed resistance, the job of journalists should not be to just say, oh, well, they're verboten, we can't speak to them. Our job should be to say, let's fact check these governments, let's talk to these people. And when the U.S. started directly speaking to Hamas in the form of Adam Bowler, who is a college friend of Jared Kushner, his former roommate. He was the special envoy on hostages. He goes and he speaks with Hamas leaders. And I spoke to those very leaders that Adam Bowler spoke to. Bowler comes out and does interviews not just on CNN, but on Israeli television saying, these guys are not what has been presented. This becomes dangerous because when you humanize people on the other side, you start to fact check a 77-year narrative of Israel that's been bolstered by the U.S. That's how actually you get a human understanding. The Palestinians have a great range of views on Hamas, and that's for Palestinians to decide. But what has been enabled by large, powerful media corporations is a total silencing of the voices of Palestinians, which is why then you end up with this cartoonish portrayal. Oh, they're just terrorists. These guys are doctors, they're lawyers, they're veterinarians, they're chemists.
Tell us who they are. Tell us, name them and tell us who they are.
Well, first of all, I mean, Khalil al-Hayya, who is the political leader in Gaza of Hamas, was a top aide to Yahya Sinwar, the former leader of Hamas who was assassinated by the Israelis. And Yahya Sinwar himself, all of these guys, their biographies, they grew up in a concentration camp. They grew up in an open-air prison in Gaza. You could tell a biography of every one of the leaders of Hamas, including the guys who Israel says, oh, they live in five-star hotels abroad. All of them have had direct family members killed. Khalil al-Hayya, multiple sons of his were killed, including one of his sons killed in the September 9th attempt to assassinate the negotiators in Qatar. Bassem Naim, another one, a doctor educated in Germany, but from Gaza. He has had multiple family members killed, including recently his son. These are all, if you can contrast the leadership of Hamas.
In the bombing Qatar.
In the bombing of Qatar. You know, they failed to kill any of the senior Hamas officials, but they did kill multiple administrative staff, including Khalil al-Hayya's secretary. They not only bombed, they hit with 12 missiles. They not only bombed the offices that Hamas had in Qatar at the request of the United States. Hamas was in Qatar to do these kinds of negotiations, but they hit the residence of Khalil al-Hayya. They wounded his wife, his daughter-in-law, they killed his son, and they wounded multiple grandchildren, some of them very seriously.